Hi, everybody. Welcome to SoCal Prep Report. Rick Stradlin along with Bob Gibson. We got Mo Orr here. Randy Rosenbloom will be coming up shortly. And, of course, Carlos Pena.
That's.
Did not have any IMG versus modern day type games this week, but we did have some good ones. And we're going to talk about those, in particular the Bosco game.
Oh.
I couldn't believe how close that game was.
Good game.
Man, Vegas, they lost their shirt this week, I'll tell you that. All right, let's get into it all because we have a lot to cover and there's so little time. All right, listen, SoCal Prep Report, No Love Club. We always start off this because these are the schools that deserve love but get none. Absolutely none. Catella, defending state champ, continues on 6-0, followed by Garfield from the city section. Garfield just probably run undefeated to the end. We'll find out. We got South Hills in there in that group. Got Sunny Hills with one loss, but we'll talk about Sunny Hills in a little bit. They're going to be part of our Game of the Week discussion, along with Heritage Christian, Brentwood, and Northfield. And we got one missing up there. Should have been Big Bear, all right?
Yeah.
Now, of course, we're not going to blame Larry for this. We're not blaming anybody. We're just adding it right now. Big Bear, all right? Big
Put it
Bear,
on the list, Larry.
Big Bear
Put
should
it
have
on
been
the
in there.
list.
They should have been in there.
Hey, is Garfield Roosevelt? Is that this week?
No,
but
Garfield, 2
it's
weeks.
coming up.
2 weeks.
All
Coming
right,
up.
That's
we're
right.
ready for that one.
That's
We're
okay.
getting ready
Maybe
for
3
that.
weeks.
That might
Maybe
be
3 weeks.
That might be Garfield's biggest test right there.
We'll
Might
see.
be Garfield's first loss.
East LA Classic.
It ain't going to be their first loss.
You never know.
I'm just
East LA
telling you, it's not
Classic,
going to
beat
happen,
Beta
my
Bowl.
brother.
The greatest
Not gonna
rivalry.
happen.
The greatest rivalry on the West Coast.
Greatest rivalry in high school football.
Come
No,
on.
no other high school game in the country draws 20,000
That's
plus
right.
fans
That
just to
is
see a
right.
league game. Who does that?
Nobody.
Nobody. Have to wait till playoffs to see that stuff.
Well, we're gonna
Certainly
keep
nobody
them
in Orange
excited.
County.
We're going to keep them excited about that game. You don't know who's going to win, but I got a pretty good idea. where we're
Because
gonna
Mo
win.
don't know. Mo, we're going to talk about your picks last week, man. I tell you, they were something else. All right. Continuing on, and now let's look at the upper echelon in high school football did in Southern California this week. We'll start off with the top 10. Modern Day at the top still. Dude, after seeing Modern Day and seeing Bosco this week, I have no doubt Modern Day is going to win this thing. But we'll talk about that. That's in 2 weeks, right? It's a week after this.
Right.
So Modern Day Bosco 1-2, followed by Centennial. Mission Viejo. Now, I like the fact, Mo, that, and Bob, you guys have noticed that Mission Viejo does not take their foot off the gas. They're 7-0. They've just gone straight through. They haven't taken any buys yet. They'll take it at the end of the season, which is probably smarter. Followed by Olu, Oaks Christian, J. Sarah, Villa Park, Upland, and Servite.
Servite.
Servite has to stay in there.
Servite?
Why?
Listen, because St. John Bosco, by many pundits, is the top team in the country along with Modern Day. They're 1-2 in every poll.
Yes.
Whether Modern Day is on top or Bosco or flip-flop, doesn't matter. They're 1-2. All right? So Servite did lose to Modern Day 35-0.
Yes.
But
Nothing.
who hasn't Modern Day kicked butt this time around? Come on.
I will argue that Centennial maybe should be ranked above Bosco in this poll.
You know what? I think
Bosco got taken to the edge by Jay Sarah. Is
but
Jay
Jay
Sarah
Sarah
that
was
good? Or is,
undefeated, man.
Not anymore. Right
No.
now, we got them at 7-0.
right, so Jay,
They
Jay
have
Sarah's
lost
actually
a
not
game.
undefeated.
Well, now, but they were undefeated when they wouldn't play them.
That's true. Jay Sarah's a good team, no doubt about it. But come on, you can't tell me that Servite belongs in there. Bosco.
Hold on. Hey, Mo. Hey, Bob, listen up. Servite belongs in there.
No,
I just
Servite
told
does
you.
not belong in there. And
wrong
you
with
could
you?
argue that Olu, I don't know. Mission Viejo, it looks about right till you get to the bottom. Jay Sarah probably should be a little bit higher. That's the way I'm seeing
All
it.
right. Who you going to put him above, Bob?
I'm going to put Jay Sarah above Orange Lutheran for
Why
sure.
would you do that? Who are
For
Orange
sure.
Lutheran's 2 losses to?
Orange Lutheran
Who are their
won-
2 losses to,
Orange
man?
Lutheran won their game this week, but got taken to the edge by Santa Margarita.
No, Bob. Who are
Santa
their 2
Margarita?
losses to? They lost to Mission Viejo.
Yeah, fine.
Right?
Right?
All right.
That's true.
And they lost to what? Centennial? They've lost
Right.
2 games to 2 teams.
Great.
In the top 10 in the
And
country,
you had to
Bob.
and you had to kick a last-second field goal to beat Santa Margarita.
So what? Get
That's
tired
sorry,
after you play national
sorry,
champs like that, brother.
that doesn't hunt for me. Jay Sarah, who took Bosco to the very edge. Bosco #1 in a national poll somewhere. Somebody thinks that's the best team in the nation.
They did not
Jay
take
Sarah
them to
took
the
them
very
right
edge. Bob,
to
the very edge is when you got a chance at the last play of the
Yes,
game. That's
Jay
not what
Sarah.
they-
What
had
was
a
the final
shot.
score of the game?
They had a
Get outta
shot.
here.
What was the
Come
final
on.
score of the
They
game?
had a shot.
35-28. 7-point loss.
And who had the ball
Jay
at
Sarah
the
had
end?
every.
Did Jay Sarah throwing a pass to the end zone? No.
Jay Sarah had every chance to win that game.
But
Didn't
they
pull
didn't
it off.
win it.
You're right. That's still Bosco
All right.
showing their Bosco.
Arguable. It's arguable top 10. Arguable top 10.
I'll tell you, we
Keep
just
arguing.
did.
Let's hear it. We just got to hammering it out, man. You guys are crazy, man. I'm telling you right now. All right? That's all I got to say. Anything else to say about this top 10, my friends?
Other than that, we're good.
I don't understand. Who are you going to put? Okay, who's going to take Servite out based on who they played and lost?
Who's ever at number 11 takes Servite out.
We're gonna find out because Jay Sarah will eventually play Orange Lutheran, and we're gonna figure that one out anyway.
It's all gonna met out itself. Not a problem at all.
It's about to play itself out.
That's the nice part. It'll be done on the field.
None whatsoever.
We like that.
I'm LA County District Attorney Jackie Lacey, and this is my mother, Addie. 1 in 5 elders has been the victim of a financial crime. It can happen to anyone. Protect yourself and don't wire money to strangers. Don't share Social Security or bank account numbers with anyone. If something doesn't feel right, hang up the phone and call the police.
For more information, please call the Elder Abuse Hotline at 877-477-3646.
All right, I'd like to remind everybody that tonight's show was sponsored by the Yard House in Brea. That's 160 South Brea Boulevard, right off Imperial Highway in Brea. Also sponsored by the KM3 Project. They are a cancer foundation that helps people live with cancer. Good place to donate your money. And also the Jerky Zone. Don't forget about our boys at the Jerky Zone, man. You love beef jerky, these are the guys to get it from, and they also have great fundraising ideas for your sports teams. The Jerky Zone. North American Scholastic Esports Federation is who I was talking about, the former OC High School Sports, Esports, and they are also a sponsor. Matter of fact, we're going to have somebody in studio or maybe over Skype in a couple weeks and talk a little bit about what's coming up with the esports. Something very new here to high school sports in Southern California. Joining us now from the city section, the one and only Randy Rosenbloom, Hall of Famer in the city section now. Randy, congratulations once again on that.
Thanks a lot.
Quite the accomplishment.
I appreciate that.
Let's get started. I was talking with the boys. We were talking about some of the key games, but I'll tell you, man, that Wilson Franklin brings back memories of the 70s with Ron Kusha and company.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that game up. It's going to be one of our key games later that we look at. They are playing this week, and both teams are playing very well. They average 42 and 45 points respectively. And you go back to the Ron Kusha days. That's the 70s when Wilson was winning LA City championships. Ron Kusha was setting national records as the quarterback. His dad, Vic, was the coach. And Eddie Martinez was a spectacular wide receiver on that team, who later became the head coach and AD at that school.
Wow, that's something crazy. Now, the reason we mentioned that game with Franklin is because it was like 1977. Wilson went up 63-0 at halftime, and Franklin didn't even come out for the second half, which is, I know it's a black guy, and it's kind of a bad thing to say, but it happened. It's history, man. And they're going to go again, but this time, Franklin may have the upper hand.
Yeah, Franklin will be the favorite, but L.A. Wilson will show up. The Mules are 5-2. By the way, here's my top 10 for this week. Got to start, as always, with Narbonne. They're finally over 500. They won at Banning 50-0. That's not easy. Garfield hasn't had a game closer than 21 points this season. You got Eagle Rock, who's outscored their last two opponents 138-0. San Fernando's Kyle Bryant last week rushed for over 250 yards and a big win over Canoga Park, 42-0. Birmingham is very strong. He's been anywhere from 2 to 5 all season long. Carson came from 17 down. Great win to get by San Pedro, who drops to number 9 on my poll. Venice, to me, is still the most exciting team in the city. Not the best, but the most entertaining with their offense and the way they throw the football. Westchester, high-octane offense. They'll be challenged this week. And there's Franklin. I got them in the top 10. I don't really know if they're a top 10 team, but there's 2 is fun. They got Bo Badilla at quarterback. It's a very entertaining team, but they'll be challenged by Wilson.
And they're 6-0 right now. How can you not throw them in that top 10 right now? You know, it's been such an uphill battle this year for the traditional powers in the city section. Not used to seeing Dorsey or Crenshaw or even Narbonne's slow start. It's just uncanny for the city section.
Well, good news. Both Dorsey and Crenshaw won this week. They're in Coliseum League play, and they'll have to battle it out with Locke in that league. Locke's a real challenger there, but Dorsey and Crenshaw in their league this year, even though they're down, they have a chance to win the league title. There are the key games. We mentioned Wilson and Franklin. Palisades plays great defense. Westchester has great offense. Thus, we're going to have a very entertaining game there. And Santee 6-1. They're the best team right now in the Exposition League. But there's Manuel Arts, who had a phenomenal win, a 1-point victory over a good Jefferson team. Santee's also beating Jefferson. That's the game for the Exposition League Championship. That'll be a good one.
Interesting stuff. Any tidbits this week out of the city section, Randy? Any miscellaneous notes?
Yeah, I do want to talk a little bit about volleyball. I always seem to do that. I love the sport. And in the West Valley, they're number 1 and number 2. Now, last week, Taft was the number 1 team in the LA City section. Granada was number 2. Well, Granada beat Taft 3-1. So they'll switch this week, and they already have in the polls. So Granada goes to number 1 and Taft goes to number 2. Earlier in the year, Taft won that match in 5 sets, 3-2. They're both 5-1 in the league. Even though it's a tough league, Chatsworth's very good, El Camino Real, Cleveland, all strong teams in the West Valley. They will unquestionably end up tied for the league title, and maybe down the road, they'll meet for the city title.
Interesting stuff, Randy, as always. Well, it's interesting football right now. We're about halfway through the league season now after this week, so stuff will start shaping up, and I'm sure you have plenty of stuff for us next week.
It's going to be fun. And I know that Roosevelt's improved. And I heard you guys talking about the Garfield-Roosevelt game.
Right.
Garfield's won that game 7 consecutive years. That's the greatest streak in the history of the series. Roosevelt's much improved, but I don't know that they can stand here with Garfield. Not yet.
Yeah. Well, it's all about the pageantry in that game. When you get tons of people, 20,000 plus, sometimes 23,000, they sell out Weingart Stadium.
Yeah.
It's just an amazing happening. So we'll be on hand to see all that, all the pageantry. Randy, thanks a lot for a good report, City Section.
Sure.
All right, joining us now is our correspondent up in the desert area. It's Carlos Pena. Carlos, how are things going up there?
Hey, Rich. Pretty good, man. Pretty good. It's starting to get cold up here. I'm going to have to break out with a jacket. Thanks for jinxing me.
Well, I remember you had the park on last time we saw you at the end of last year, so I'm kind of hoping that hits you again, see? Down here, we still show up. We still show up in, Bermuda shorts and tank tops to go to the games on Friday night, so we're doing good out here.
I see that.
So what's going up there in the high desert, man?
Well, we started league. We're starting in league, and boy, let me tell you, what a way to start. Starting off with the Desert Sky League. I saw Adelanto taking on Silverado. I thought Adelanto had this hands down. Did not turn that way. Silverado came out with a win on there. So, right now we got Silverado, Granite Hills, top 2, Adelanto, Victor Valley, Barstow.
I'll tell you, I don't mean to interrupt, but that must have been some schedule Adelanto played to lose that game like that. Did you see those stats right now? Pull those stats back up. Take a look at this stuff, man. Look at the points for, points against. I don't understand how Silverado got up and won this game because they were 1-5 going in.
Well, let me tell you, they relied a lot on Marshawn Buchanan. He's anywhere between a 3 to 5 star athlete right now.
Right.
So they relied on him. He was the workhorse. He's strong out there. I saw him personally. Kid's strong. Kid is strong. Very quick. So the next big thing right now it's Adelanto and Victor Valley. Now Victor Valley and Granite Hills went at it. 34-30. So if Adelanto can get ahead of that, they'll be sitting all right. But what a battle that was. Desert Sky League is wide open.
Yeah, it's always good to play some tough teams in that preseason because then once you get in the league, things seem to be a little bit easier. But man, you gotta take a few black eyes in the preseason if you're going to be a champion.
Yeah. A loss will bring them back down to earth, and we'll see how they react to that.
All right. So what else is going on now up there?
All right, moving on to Mojave River. This is another one. Apple Valley up top, 1-0, followed by Serrano. Oak Hills. Now, Oak Hills got this prospect, Jason Rodriguez, who's already signed. He's a 4-star, already signed with USC. 6'7", 330 pounds, 17-year-old.
Baby
tackle.
Huey, huh? I like that.
Oh, big guy.
Now, Apple Valley, it seems to be put it on everybody. I mean, they've already scored, 380 points in 6 or 7 games? Really?
Yeah,
They're trying to catch Bloomington right now.
Yeah, but the test is going to come during playoffs.
Yep.
They're going to go down the hill. They're going to face some teams, and then we'll see what they're made of. Jeff Weiner, his senior year, he did incredible last year. This year, at one point, he was ranked number 5 in the nation with yardage, passing yards. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, the reason Apple Valley does so well is they got that almost mile-high stadium they play at. So the air is a little thinner down there for the opponents who come up. Yeah, but wait till they go down that hill. That air gets heavy, man. You get a little tired down here, if you know what I mean. Yeah,
definitely. The altitude up here, people don't realize. We're about anywhere between 3,000 to 4,000 feet above sea level.
That's why it's the high desert, man.
It's the high desert. Now, the next league, we're Cross Valley League, hands down, Big Bear. Now they're upper, they're higher in altitude, obviously, so they come down, they just slaughter everybody. they got it. They're 6-1 right now. No issues there.
No Love Club candidate for next week. They'll definitely, if they win this week, they'll be in it. Matter of fact, they're going to be in it anyway. They should have been in it all along. Big Bear.
Yeah,
One of our favorite teams.
You know, they're very disciplined. Very disciplined. They're not that big, but they execute precision, and that's what I love about Big Bear.
Yep. What else we got?
You know, I just want to cover a little bit of volleyball, Cross Valley again, staying with that. Now we got Big Bear, Excelsior, and UPrep, and boy, these three schools are just beating up on each other. You know,
I love that.
Oh yeah, it's anybody's game. They keep going back and forth. You know, Division 8, you got Excelsior ranked number 2 and Big Bear 17. In the California Division 5, Excelsior is ranked number 10. They still got to play each other one more time, but when you look at all the stats, it's just Big Bear, UPrep, and Excelsior. They're just going at it.
That's why
Incredible.
they're called Big Bear. Well, I was out at the Paraclete football game this last Thursday. They played Cornerstone Christian of San Antonio, Texas, and only their 4th game, and it was a great ball game. Went back and forth. Cornerstone eventually got Paraclete 28-27. What's up with Paraclete this year, man? They're going to get back in there? They're going to get back deep in the playoffs this year?
You know, your guess is as good as mine.
All right, just checking. Never know.
Yeah, you never
You're
know.
Carlos
but,
Pena, man. Come on. You're supposed to know this stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'll check up on that for you. You know, honestly, what I love about the league play now up here is just everything's changed 180 degrees. I really don't know what's going to happen. Kind of like Pac-12, anybody can beat anybody.
Right.
But it's going to be exciting.
All right.
You know, especially volleyball, girls volleyball. I can't wait to see how that ends.
Yep. Well, things are heating up definitely everywhere, not just in the high desert where the air is thin, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
All right, Carlos. Well, thanks again for the report this week. We'll check with you next week. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. I'll see you.
Okay, now that we're done with the High Desert Report, time for a little national news. Let's take a look at the top 10 since it's pretty much SoCal based right now. We have at the top Mater Dei, followed by St. John Bosco. Of course, Mater Dei beat Servite last week 35-0. They'll have Rancho Santa Margarita this week. Should have little problem with them. Bosco beat J. Sarah 35-28. They have Orange Lutheran coming up, all right? We told you St. Louis of Hawaii was going to pillage the islands. Well, they're continuing on now. They got to be getting bored over there. They're 6-0 now in the 3rd spot nationally. St. John's of D.C. beat the #1 team of Missouri, Christian Brothers, 59-49, a great ball game. That's worthy of 2 #1 teams going at it in a state situation. Of course, Corona Centennial continues on. They ripped Santiago last week, 59-6. Little or no competition for, Corona Centennial the rest of the way. They do have Norco in 2 weeks, but that's just going to be a speed bump. Okay, Colquitt County, Georgia in the 6th position. They're the top dog in Georgia still. De La Salle, #7. They had a bye last week. Central Florida continues on, winning to the 2nd-ranked team in the state of Florida. Although some people are saying since Mater Dei beat IMG that Central Florida is now the new #1. I doubt Central Florida would come within 3 touchdowns of Mater Dei, to be honest with you. Allen, Texas stays in the #9 spot. I told you before, they don't have anybody in the top 100. They did not leave the state of Texas this year. I don't know how long they can remain in the top 10 without playing a schedule. Same thing with Francis of Maryland. 2 games. One of them was due to the storm situation out there, some hurricanes, maybe you heard of it, and just devastated stuff. So that's why they only have 2 games played so far on their schedule. That could change. And that, my friends, is the National Report. And now joining me back is Mo and Bob. And now we're going to talk about the CIF Southern Section and the key matchups of this week. Right, guys?
Yeah, we're ready.
yeah.
Let's
Are
do
you guys
it.
ready for
Oh,
this?
are you
do
ready
it.
for this,
That's
Rich?
some good games.
Boom, ready. All right, throw the graphic up if you would, my friends, and let's take a look. And we should see Orange Lutheran taking on St. John Bosco. This is a Trinity League matchup. Both these teams have been ranked in the top 25 nationally. Orange Lutheran slipped out after losing 2 games, but who did they lose 2 games to? 2 teams in the top 10 in the nation. So you can't really, actually it was 1.5 because Mission Vieja was like number 12 or 13.
Yeah, one for them. One for
So, yeah. So this is going to be a fairly decent game because Orange Lutheran is battle-tested. Bosco finally got battle-tested last week.
Well, Orange Lutheran won the game last week, but they lost their best player, and then it's Kyle Ford, the top wide receiver, some say in the nation. done for the year now. So that's a big weapon that Orange Lutheran has lost.
In the
rest
nation,
of the
Bob,
way out.
number one.
Number one wide receiver in the nation for some people. At least one of the top 2 or 3 guys in the nation.
With all that
Kyle
talent
Ford,
IMG and Mater Day had
legit.
last week, you say that kid's better than all those dudes?
Brew McCoy and Kyle Ford probably 1-2 in the nation.
Wow, that's heavy.
In the Trinity, we're watching the 2 best wide receivers in the nation right there. But
Didn't know
anyway,
that.
back to Orange Lutheran. Not much of a chance here against Bosco. I'll take Bosco by touch 10 points. I'll take Bosco by 10.
I'll be good to ask if Orange Lutheran loses this game, do they drop out of the top 10? There's no fight
Depends
left
how
in
they
them.
lose.
Well, I think they're going to lose pretty handily with St. John Bosco after being battle tested last week.
What you have to look at in these games, fellas, is you have to look at the schedule. You have to look at who they played. It's going to be very hard to move Orange Lutheran out of the top 10, losing to the number 1 or 2 team in the country. All right, it's going to be very difficult. They've had the number 1 team in the nation on their schedule. They've had the number 7 team or 6 team now in the nation on their schedule, and they've also had Mission Viejo on their schedule, who's in the top 15 in the country. With that kind of schedule, you cannot be kicked out of the top 10 because I guarantee you, anybody below them would have lost probably 2 or 3 of these games to the kind of quality of opponents that Orange Lutheran has played.
Could be.
And I'm not homering here for Orange Lutheran. I'm just looking at things. I'm just trying to keep it real, all right? Just keeping it real. They just played a really tough schedule. I mean, I don't care who you put below them, any Upland, the rest of those guys. Look what Mission Viejo did to Upland, and yet Orange Lutheran took them 2 point. It was a 2-point game.
Well, and if you want to be one of the, we've talked about this for years and years
Yes.
doing various shows. If you want to be considered one of the best teams in this area or in the nation, you have to play a tough schedule. You can't play one of these. Los Alamitos years ago used to play a soft schedule.
Yep.
We've talked about that,
Yep.
and they were always a top 10 team. Come playoff time, they were not battle tested. They used to lose on a regular basis.
Couldn't get used to the speed. You
Right.
got to play
You
speed
have
schools,
to play
man.
the top teams to become one of the top teams. Even if you lose a couple of those games. We saw La
learn.
Mirada get their hat handed to them 4 weeks in a row in non-league and go and win a state championship because they were battle tested. That's the way it has to be done.
They had Mater Day and Bosco on
Yeah,
their schedule,
that's what
Upland
you
on their
do.
schedule. They had all CIF champions on their schedule, and it was Mike Machete's doing.
Right.
Now the new coach is taking the brunt of it now because they can't compete. They're 0-7 now. So you better change that schedule up in the future.
Orange Lutheran's a really good football team. If you think they're not a good football team, they are.
I think they'll
prove
give
it to you.
Bosco a better fight than what these two guys are saying. I think they have to, regardless if they're stud wide receivers. That doesn't matter. It's got to change your game plan. One guy in football does not make a team,
it's a
unless
pretty
of
good
course
guy.
I'm on that team. Then
Well,
you guys are done.
right.
You're
Well,
done.
look, here's the deal. I'm gonna put this out there before Rich get a chance to throw this out there. He's talking about my picks last week. Everybody has an off week, even Vegas. But I'm gonna tell you right now, every now and then, I gotta brush my shoulders off, come from up under the rug, and then make more calls on the game. So, 42-21, Bosco.
42-21. You think Bosco's going to put 42 on these guys?
Look, Orange Lutheran's been having some really quick starts. They've been kind of like my Dodgers, or even like my Raiders. They start off fast, and then they go to sleep in the fourth quarter. 42-21, Bosco.
All right. I think it's going to be a little bit tougher than that, but we'll see. That's it. I'm not Jimmy. I'm not Mo the Greek, okay? Let's continue on. Take a look at another game this week that's kind of a good matchup, right? And one of the teams we've been talking about a lot, Mission Viejo taking on Capel Valley. Now, Capel Valley used to be the you-know-what.
Oh, yeah.
They were the boss at one time in Division I.
Back in the Todd Marinovich days.
Yeah, they are no longer, but this is a good matchup. This is the South Coast League. It's been a while since Mission Viejo and Capel Valley have been undefeated going into week 2 of the season, league that is. And, man, this is going to be a good game, but I think Mission Viejo, like you said, Mo, they put their foot on the gas and they just keep going. They're not going to slow down for anybody.
Well, I think sometimes you get a lot of those teams who choose to take their foot off the gas pedal. Mater Day last week, did it, took their foot off the gas pedal. Mission Viejo, 70-0 over El Toro. I don't think they want anybody to have a doubt to whereas they should be in the top 10. This will be a good one. Mission Viejo, 64 points. Capistrano Valley, 12.
You could say Mission Viejo 100 right now, and I wouldn't disagree
I
with
wouldn't
it. I'm
either.
just, I don't know if they have something to prove or what's going on over there, but they're just not.
They're just a really talented football team. Mission Viejo, top to bottom, is just a great football team. There's all kinds of talent on that field. Now, are they Mater Day? No. Are they Bosco? Probably not. But they're probably number 3 on that list, and that's not That's not taking a run at them whatsoever. I mean, that just talented top to bottom. I got him probably at least 2, probably 3 touchdowns better than Capital Valley in this game.
Wow.
At least.
Well, I believe that. What do you say, Mo?
I already told you, I'm going big this week.
gonna
I'm
want
going
8
big
touchdowns.
this
What
week.
again? I just want to hear it again. I want to hear it again.
64 to 12,
All right.
Mission Viejo.
I wasn't sure if I heard that at first. I thought, no, he was kidding. I want to see if you had I was giving you a chance to fix it in case.
yeah,
But you
you're
know,
not
like
gonna
I
fix
told,
it?
like I said, you could set 100, and I would have not disagreed with you. But I was just giving you a chance, brother.
I appreciate the out.
I don't know if they'll score that many, but I do think Mission Viejo is just that much better than everybody else.
Yep.
I think they could go in the Trinity League this year and probably finish 3rd.
Well, I don't
Because
doubt
they already
that.
beat Orange Lutheran.
I
The
don't
only
doubt
team they
that.
would struggle with was Bosco and Modern Day, but they could beat everybody else.
I don't
think
doubt
they-
that.
I think they so. All right, doesn't matter what I think. It matters what happens on the field. Let's go back and take a look at another game that we're looking at this week, and I'll tell you what. This is another one of those games like Norwalk and Glen last week, where Sunny Hill's 5-1, La Habra 2-4. Now, don't let that record deceive you, my brothers. All I got to say is the last time Sunny Hills beat La Habra, it was in the 70s. The I'm not kidding. When Gary Carter.
Did you look that up?
When Gary Carter was a running back and a linebacker and the catcher for Sunny Hills. Remember Gary Carter, the old Mets
yes.
catcher, Hall of
Oh,
Famer?
yeah, the kid they called him.
Gary Carter was the last time Sunny Hills beat La Habra. Gary Carter was on that team in 1976.
Wow.
Think about that for a minute, Bob.
That's a couple moons ago.
Now, thank you. All right. Sunny Hills 5-1, La Habra 2-4. Sunny Hills has been averaging about 40, 42 points a game. They've been taking it to everybody. La Habra has not. But La Habra plays all those major teams,
Right.
man. They play everybody. I think they played Modern Day this year. They play everybody and anybody. They have a tough schedule. No excuses. They lost 4, but it is what it is. I still not sold on Sunny Hills being the class of this. And if they lose this game, they still might remain in the No Love Club.
You're right.
They
You're right.
just might remain.
La Habra did play Modern Day this year. La Habra did lose to Modern. La Habra
Yeah.
had a couple of moments in that game, but it was as lopsided as you would have expected it to be. But still, those are the kind of games that you build it up, and then when you come play a Sunny Hills, you should win this football game. La Habra should win this football game.
Well, here's what I'm going to tell you, that the same way we start off our show with the No Love Club, Sunny Hill's about to get some love this week, and it's going to be by La Habra. La Habra's going to win this game 21-20. Huh?
That's good.
21-20, and then drop Sunny Hills out of our No Love Club. So I'm going to say bye to Sunny Hills this week, so I won't see them next week in the No Love Club.
None of it's 21-20. Now, if it's 51-20, they'll get knocked out. Big Bear definitely going to replace them. But right now, I got to look it. It's been that long. It's been a long time since they've beaten La Habra. Just like last week
been a
with
while.
Norwalk. Norwalk hadn't beaten. John Glenn hadn't beaten Norwalk in 100 years. And last week, you said no, String's going to keep going 101 years, and it didn't happen.
No. Look, if Larry can't replay the tape, I actually said the Glen would win that game.
Larry ain't going to replay the tape.
Well, guess what? I called that
It's
game
in
then.
the studio, man. We're not going to pull that out. All right. Anyway, enough of this nonsense. That's where we stand right now as far as these games go for the key matchups of the week. There aren't really any key matchups till next week and the week after. Then
Well,
you really
then-
got some key
then
matchups.
it really starts to tighten
That's
up.
when the pressure's on.
All the league races really start to get going.
That's right. All right, Bob. What were we going to talk about now?
Oh, you
What's
know
a
what? You
special
know what
day?
today is?
It's a special
Today's
day.
the 1-year anniversary
that what it- that's what it
of
was.
LeVar Ball pulling LaMelo out of Chino Hills High School,
Man.
taking him and his brother to Lithuania. How'd that work out for them?
The
And by the way,
worst
how'd that work
thing.
out for Chino Hills this past year?
The worst. It worked out great for Chino Hills,
Didn't
but
it?
I feel sorry for LaMelo Ball. I did see him get in a fight in the Vegas tournament representing UA. Had USA right across his chest and a red, white, and blue jersey. And some guy, all right, LaMelo did shove him out of bounds, and the guy turned around, and as he walked by, he just barely tapped him in the back of the head, and LaMelo turned around and started swinging on him. And I mean, or is it Leanne? No, it's LaMelo's the young.
LiAngelo.
Yeah. Is it LiAngelo? All right.
LiAngelo's the middle one.
Sorry,
LaMelo,
Mello. Sorry, LaMelo. Sorry, it was LiAngelo.
All right.
So, anyways, or maybe it was LaMelo. I can't tell him apart anymore, Bob. These guys, the young one looked like he put on 50 pounds,
This is the problem. You know, we know brother number one's with the Lakers. That we know, right?
Yeah.
He got his, but how are these other two going to get what they're supposed to get? And I think the disservice is to LaMelo, who everybody says is the best of the three. You've seen them all up close, Mo. What?
Yes.
Now, hold on a minute. Bob's supposed to be a professional. You see what Sage's doing right there?
She's telling us to wrap it
Wrap
up.
it up.
Wrap it
All right,
up.
everybody, thanks for joining us this edition of the SoCal Prep Report. On behalf of Mo Orr, Bob Gibson, and Rainier Rosenbloom and Carlos Pena, I am Rich Estrella. saying so long. We're out of time, baby.
Didn't you say
Next
we were flossing
week.
today? What
Next
we floss?
week.
No.